So with the water structure, what we found out, and I just delivered the information here, it's very simple, that generally you only can find water distilled or purified, but never both. You generally won't find a machine that will distill and then purify the water. And this is important because you generally have these like the Jupiter Athena. We got her back in the room getting schooled too. The only purifying tap water, right? And because of the suction system, which it doesn't have, it needs pressure to go in. And this is the little stuff that we don't realize, that the individuals that are on this reality, the ones that want to pull us down, they're checking bases. They're hoping that you never get it, but they have at least set something up. Oh, don't make the thing with the suction device, because then they'll actually start sucking up like some of their good water and then putting it through here, right? So this is some of the Achilles heels to it. But what I'm saying is, you get the distilled water, wipes it from everything. It's not really even water. It's just as soon as water is bleach is water. It may be clear, but they're not the same substance. And that's what people need to see, but they can't see. Because you can't, all water looks clear to us, right? But it's not really clear. So you need,
about the water. Now, I have things set up so that when the rain or the dew or whatever, it comes into a holding tank that I have that's, purified. And then what I do is I boil it. Get it a rolling boil, and then I cover it, I let it cool off, and then I make sure it's airtight when I put it in the refrigerator or in the freezer. Now, when I take it from the boil into the water and it's airtight, or into the freezer, now does that change the hertz? Does that change the viability and the absorption and mineral and nutrient rates of the water?
In many cases, that water is even more toxic. And let me explain about the boiled water myth. What happens is when you boil water, now you can easily create. Now, what is a distillation system? Let's get it straight. That it's just basically it's boiling water, but the water is what's evaporating. The steam is being collected, and then that is being collected into a reservoir. So you actually have the steam then that is the pure water, right? So what happens when you boil water is now the water is steaming, all the good water is going away, and what it's leaving is a concentration of this really bad water. And that's why when you test the ppm, parts per million, it's going to be higher. And then of course, if you put the water through any kind of process, it goes in the refrigerator, it does a rapid cool down, all the minerals are changing, and it's actually becoming, again, like we tested well water here, it was ridiculous to how much sediment and obviously just pesticide is more of what you're dealing with, was actually inside of the water. So you do take it through, and I said a distiller is very, it's a very simple device. It costs, for a personal home distiller that distills about 1 gallon or 3 gallons every day, it costs about $200. So that, skip a meal because you're going to water. But let me finish.
I do have well water. I do have my own well water.
But let me explain these.
But the wells.
The wells, the water systems are contaminated. Like, this has been going on for a while. Like, it's not just because you may live out in the middle of the Sierra Nevadas, but what they're spraying in the sky, and when it goes into the soil, it goes into the well. Like, look, we got to wise up. We have to stop playing around. I'm telling you, people are doing this kind of thing on every angle. They're just winging it with things that are the most important. As you move up the ladder of importance, you leave organic land, goodbye mushrooms, reishi, and then you go into water. Man, this school of water, remember how they talked about on Earth there was a school of every element, right? You school of water, we're going to look at you like it's not going to make it. Because if you're actually at any point not flowing completely with the knowledge. Okay, we're going to go ahead and begin here because obviously we've got this working. We're just chopping down the cable a little bit. But what we're doing here is we're going through the next step of our water process, which is water purification, heavy levels of water purification. And to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to start out with distilled water. And the reason why we feel like that's important is because it makes no sense really to us to run tap water or even well water, which is often full of a great deal of sediments, through a machine like this, which is the Jupiter Athena. And issues with machines like this that you'll run into is that they don't have pumps. So in every tense, it relies on the water, the pump from your tap that's hooked to your normal water supply to get water directly into this machine. So in every essence, it's very difficult to try to run any kind of water through this kind of purification system beside tap water. And then you obviously could imagine the problems with that is that it will filter that water, but this type of filter still can't get rid of the deposits that have dissolved in the water, which is what you would find with a distiller. But the issue is with distilled water is unstructured. And in every sense, it's not actually even water anymore as we understand it. It's basically all of the minerals, all the sediments, all the pesticides, all of that kind of stuff is removed from it. So the next process that we want to take it through then is we want to put it into something like this Jupiter Athena, which will alkalize it or add acid depending upon what you're doing with the water, also ionize the water, and then obviously the next level of our whole experiment is to then magnetize the water. But first, this is a process, actually it's been a long time coming because of just working with the design to figure out how we would pump water back into this. Also the realization that you need to distill the water, etc. So the process is simple: distill the water, then you're taking the distilled water, filling up something like this or a fish tank. We're in Costa Rica, so it's a little bit difficult to get things, especially in the area that we're at, so we're just using this for now. But a fish tank would be more optimal, especially since it's made out of glass. You can kind of reduce plastic. And then from there, you would pump this, as we're going to show you now, into this machine. And what I found with this kind of machine is it comes with several different attachments. We were able to take this attachment and then just put a hose onto it with a simple clamp. And then that allows it to force water into this device and distill the water. So we're going to go ahead and dump this out. What we've done now is we're actually going to run this through a couple processes, which we advise that everyone do, especially if you're using hoses like this, because obviously there's sediment buildup, plastic taste, all that kind of stuff in this. So we're going to basically run this device quite a bit to allow all of the cleansing of not only the sump pump, but also the tube to take place. But we've already tested this and it does work. So let me just cut this tube, which is the final process that we wanted to make the tube shorter. So let's do this. Let's give it some room to breathe, and then we'll just take it from there. It's pumping that water into it. Now, obviously, this is to get a faster, to get this to produce water a lot faster. You want to get all the air out of the tube, which is something that we had going on here earlier. But I just have to now clear the tube and then get enough water in the tube, and then it'll start producing this water fast. However, obviously you can see by the color of this water that's a lot more acidic. We're still dealing with tap water here in every tense, so we'll be running distilled water through this. And that pretty much makes up, it's in the water, I guess this would be series 3. And we'll return when we are then showing how to actually magnetize and restructure the water. Wholeness.
Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. Put it into a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or creep or drip or crash. Be water, my friend.